What is happening, everybody? This is V3Cast, episode 16, the official Voyager 3 podcast. My name is Steve.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Greg.
What's happening, fellas? Good to see you guys. We haven't had a rehearsal, so I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Greg's been on vacation. Aaron's been going out of town. Aaron went to an arena concert. A lot of stuff happening.
Yep. Saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers for the first time, even though I've been a fan since 1986. So, yeah, it was great.
Very cool. It looked like it was absolutely packed. I saw some photos on Facebook and just kind of like from the top, or maybe it was even a drone shot. I don't even know, but you could see just so many people, man. It had to have been sold out.
It must have been. It felt like it. And it was a cool vibe. Like everybody was just happy, and kind of meeting new people and stuff and just kind of being social. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And it was my first time being at the ballpark, the Tigers ballpark, for a concert. I mean, I've been there for a bunch of games, but never been to a concert. I know, Greg, you went and saw Kiss at the old ballpark back in '96.
Yeah.
That had to be pretty fun.
That was probably the best concert I've ever been to. I can't wait. I think I said the Creatures of the Night tour was the best concert, so I don't know. Maybe that was second best.
They can both be the best, It's okay.
Especially because it's the same band.
Same band. We're always going to give you your money's worth when you come to a Kiss show.
That's right.
That's my Gene Simmons.
You sound just like him.
Aaron, don't you have a story about a concert that ties in with baseball?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, one time I went to see Aerosmith back in, 16 or something. And in the bathroom, when I went into the bathroom, was Kate Upton going into the stall next to me, which was pretty bizarre and surreal. And Justin Verlander was standing out front of her stall, making sure nobody tried any funny business in the bathroom.
That's right.
Of Auburn Hills.
Now, was she in the men's or the women's bathroom?
Well, yeah, she was in the men's because the women's line was too long. So they were like cheating and they went into the men's room. And I don't think anybody there had a complaint about it or anything. And I said to Justin Verlander right when I was leaving, I said, "Hey, keep kicking ass." I said it real low key so I wouldn't draw attention to him. And he said, "Thanks, man. It was awesome."
See, that was respectable right there. That was pro. And that was pro on his part, too, because his lady's got to go to the bathroom. You got to take matters into your own hands and make it so she can go to the bathroom and not have to wait 45 minutes. So everybody was on their game that night.
It was great. Yep.
Hey, well, speaking of great concerts, I know when all of us go to a concert, we always like to get a fun beverage. So in honor of the dog days of summer and going to concerts, what are y'all drinking tonight?
I think Steve should go first. He built his up, and I have a guess as to what it is. Can I guess before you hold it up?
I guess you can guess, yeah.
Do you have a guess, Aaron? Because he built it up as some. He only described it as old school, so my mind goes to one drink. There's only one thing that's going to do it for you when you're down in the dumps.
You need something
summertime.
to pick you up.
My guess, knowing Steve and knowing what I know about the two of you, it's country time.
That's a very good guess, but it is not. It is not.
It's not country time. Come on.
No, but it would have been awesome to have that. I say old school because I used to drink these a lot, like in the 90s, and I honestly haven't had one since then. And I saw it at the store yesterday, Walgreens in particular, and I'm like, oh man, I got to get that. And sure enough, I did. And man, these things are delicious. You remember these?
Yeah.
I
haven't had these in forever.
But the green tea one?
Yeah, the green tea with ginseng and honey in particular. I love these things. Are you ready? I love to crack it open. Oh, man, that was a good one.
That's a good ASMR. We're crossing over into that territory.
Ooh, that's good. Yep.
There you go.
Is it just like you remember? Is it still 99 cents? That's the important part.
Yes, that's amazing. With everything that's happening in the world,
inflation.
How are they holding their prices?
Inflation doesn't seem to impact Arizona iced tea. They're just not paying it. They're just not paying it no mind.
I guess not.
They're keeping it real. They're keeping it real for the people.
That's right. And from past episodes of V3 Cats, everybody knows we keep it real.
Yeah, we do. I got myself the margarita.
Ooh, another homemade drink in the Batman glass. A margarita.
I should have switched it up to the Superman glass because I used Batman last time. But hey, you know what? I wasn't thinking.
That's all right. Everybody knows that Batman is your favorite. So if you lean on Batman a little more than you do the other fun glasses that you have at the house, that's okay.
Yep.
Aaron didn't attend the production meeting, Steve. Remember when he missed it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because we specifically went over, do not use the same glassware.
That's right.
Twice.
Aaron sent his stunt double, Aaron, and he didn't relay the message at all.
Yeah,
he did a shitty job.
he definitely messed up.
It's hard to keep a handle on that guy. He's kind of in business for himself.
That's right. You know what we refer to him as a lot of times is the wild card. He's the wild card.
Hey, Aaron. Yep.
Yes. Greg.
What do you got, Greg?
You look like you have something real good, man.
No, it's not. It's a repeat. Zombie Dust.
Nice.
But hold on, I'm going to redeem myself. I have new glassware.
Oh,
see
man.
that? Jill and Steve got that for me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. From Amsterdam.
From Amsterdam. So I'm drinking the Zombie Dust out of Amsterdam. I don't even know what you call this thing, but it's a fancy beer glass.
That's right, man. Yep.
And it works out good for me. You know, because it's got a wide opening here. I don't have the smallest nose, Aaron. So I need a lot of nose room.
You got a strong nose, man.
Amsterdam. God damn. That looks good.
You'd be proud of it. You'd be proud of that nose. Let me tell you, though, I got to say, you said it's nothing exciting. Zombie Dust is fucking great. So
I know, but I think I've had it before.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
On the podcast, so.
Yeah, but I look at it this way: is when you get a pack of that, it's at least 6 cans. You know, you got to have a couple repeats here and there.
But I'm the goddamn drink hawk. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do know that.
Do we get mad at Steve when he has another white monster? No, we love it.
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact,
Aaron laughs, but Greg is secretly planning my demise.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
The way I'm spinning it is I'm drinking a repeat beer out of a new glass that you haven't seen before. So at least I brought some new content.
So that means I have to get all new glasses?
Well, you could at least switch it up every once in a while.
That's right, Aaron. You have to have all your shoes and glasses with you, so you have them.
Right. I'll have them with me.
I'll see you down there.
All right. Well, we are here to talk about something that we've all had a chance to see it now, and a lot of people are buzzing about it. Apparently, it was Hulu's most watched film to date, and we're talking about Prey, which is the Predator prequel, actually. It was very enjoyable, man. I checked it out like about 3 days after it came out and watched the whole thing in one sitting, and very much liked it.
Yep, I liked it too. I thought it was really cool, pretty straightforward story, and kind of kept it relatively simple, you know, just this woman who has her job to do. Nobody will really believe her or like take her seriously, and she has to like take matters into her own hands and go against the predator. And it's a bad predator, a badass predator, and you get to see all those great weapons. Sometimes they're a little bit like earlier technology than what we've seen in the other Predator movies, but they still get the job done.
Yeah.
I liked how when it came time for me to watch this movie, Aaron was like, well, temper your excitement. And I was like, man, what does he mean by that? And and I told you guys, like, I'm so used to watching movies with no budget nowadays that like this movie just seemed like, I mean, it was flawless. Right. It was just a straight up action movie. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have, like you said, it's not heavy on story necessarily, but it makes up for it. And like, I don't know, like all the characters are good. I mean, she's pretty likable, you know? Yeah. And, I don't know. It was really well done. And you know what it was for me too, is, like all the scenery reminded me of Red Dead Redemption 2. I know this is like a video, like comparing it to a video game, and I don't know if that's really fair, but like Red Dead Redemption 2 is probably my favorite video game because it was set in the Old West, and this sort of like the scenery of like her up on those like mountaintops and all that. Like, I don't know. There's just something about that period that I don't know is, it's my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I really like that part of it, that it was like the Old West kind of, and then mixed with, this predator that they don't even understand,
Right.
So
Yeah, when I said to temper your expectations, I was just talking about, it's been getting a lot of praise, and that's good, and it should get a lot of praise. But I feel like, I don't know. I saw a headline that said the franchise finally gets its masterpiece, and I thought, well, okay, hold on. The first one is a masterpiece. This was definitely very cool. The second one was also great with Danny Glover. I love that movie.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's underrated in my opinion.
Yeah,
by the way.
I do too.
I love part two. Love it. And I also really really like the Adrian Brody Predators. I didn't even see the most recent Predator with like Keegan Michael Key. It looked like a joke to me, and I wasn't going to mess with that. But and the Alien Predator movies are really not very good. But yeah, I thought this was a really cool movie, and I just didn't want you to get like thinking, because some of the reviews are making it out to be like the Second Coming or something. But
no, I know what you mean. Like, you don't want, like, there's so much buzz. It's like they're sort of like telling you what to think about it before you even watch it for yourself, sort of objectively,
Yeah.
But I will say something that we've talked about on this podcast before, they brought back, which was really old school, is fucking quicksand.
Yes, that's so true.
Remember
man.
when we were talking about quicksand when we were kids? It was always like a plot point in like old TV shows. And man, she gets caught. I don't know. This is spoilers, obviously. I guess we should probably put a spoiler alert before we start talking about it. But I mean, I was happy to see quicksand back as a as a thing.
Yeah, that was
so
really
awesome.
cool.
That had to be intentional too, because I mean, I'm sure this director is aware of that. Like that era,
right?
Of the 80s where everybody was getting stuck in quicksand.
That was awesome.
This is kind of directly tied into her getting stuck in that quicksand, and is one of my favorite aspects of the film was how she was always kind of in the trials. She was always having to kind of learn a new trick, master her weapons better, master a new weapon, expand her mind, and really focus in to be able to do the task at hand, which was her quest. That's a great aspect of the story to me. So that you saw her kind of get the idea to tie a rope around her axe to kind of have like a better use for it. Not just throw it once and you're done. You can get it back again. And then that ended up saving her ass in the quicksand debacle. So very cool aspect of that film to watch that character grow and learn and become more powerful and all that sort of stuff.
As far as her group, her family and everything, a lot of the people there were kind of stodgy and kind of set in their ways. And she was the only one at least featured in the story who was like reaching for the next level and kind of being open-minded. That's why nobody really believed the creature was even there. And she was like, well, if nobody's going to do anything or nobody's going to believe me, I'm going to have to do it myself. So everything about her was that pragmatism of dealing with what's in front of her instead of questioning everything and just like getting the job done. And so that was a really cool aspect of her character for sure.
Yeah. The sequence in kind of like that dead forest, it was either a dead forest or it had burned. And there was kind of like the floating ash kind of going through the air. That'll always mess up the Predator's camo for one, because it can't handle that much variance. And then also it just was a great mood set. They're tied up on that tree. It's got that setting. And then you get to see some of the coolest Predator weapons to date, in my opinion, that I've seen used in that kind of fight in that dead, burnt out forest area. That was a really cool sequence.
Yeah, for sure. That was great. Kind of like almost a Frank Frazetta painting kind of look, really. Kind of
it reminded me of that scene from Kill Bill, I think it is, with Lucy Liu, when she fights Lucy Liu and the snow is falling real slow. I think that's an old martial arts sort of thing with the snow that.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
It kind of ties into all that, you know. It kind of serves a similar purpose. Oh, and the director, Dan Trachtenberg, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, something like that.
I was seeing what else he did because I knew this wasn't his first film, but then so when I looked, he did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I really liked when that was out, and then he also did an episode of Black Mirror, but I didn't see that episode, so I'm gonna issue myself a Cam Floyd challenge to watch that episode of Black Mirror, which is called Playtest, and it was the same year as 10 Cloverfield Lane, 2016. So then I'll be complete as to everything that he's directed.
There you go.
Yes, indeed.
I'm trying to remember which episode that was. I probably saw it. What season is it?
I think it might be the 3rd season.
The other thing I wanted to mention was I'm pretty sure that they used at least a little bit of practical effects on the Predator, so I was happy about that. And then it was also very violent and pretty gory. So like all of the, you know, that stuff was really pleasing, all the violence. So,
yeah, for sure. There was really good kills all throughout.
Yeah,
animals and humans. Take your pick.
all the fights were great. You know, whether it's, you know, all the different adversaries. So it was. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong watching this movie, right? It's like watching a John Wick movie.
Right.
You know, you sort of know what you're in for.
And one other aspect that I'll mention that I don't even know them all because I've only seen it once, and it's been a little bit of time since I've watched Predator 2, and I haven't seen all of the later ones either. But I think there's a lot of Easter eggs in this film. You know, the obvious one is the Raphael Adolini 1715 pistol in there, of course. So that was the same one that the Predator at the end of Predator 2 hands to Danny Glover's character. But I have a feeling that if you either, you know, find a YouTube video of someone to tell you what's in there, or if you take your time to find it, you'll find a lot of Easter eggs in this film. I kind of get that feeling. So I guess, fellas, bottom line is totally worth seeing this film. It's probably tied for 2nd or 3rd best Predator film, if you even need to rank it. I mean, kind of who cares? But some people like to know that stuff or have an idea where it stands. And I guess, in my opinion, I would say it's either as good as 2 or just after Predator 2, I guess. Something like that.
Well, if we're ranking it, I would put 1 and then 2 and then this one.
Yeah. We're going to do something new on V3 Cast tonight, and we're calling it Friends Doing Cool Stuff. And our friend tonight is Corey Dana. He's an author and a freelance journalist who does work for Horror Geek Life, theactionelite.com, kungfumagazine.com, and many others. So he has a book that just came out, From Vietnam to Van Damme. And it's a book about Sheldon Latish, who is a director, screenwriter, producer, and he's worked with some of the best in the biz of the action stars like Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, and many more. So this book interviews some of those actors, and these are all brand new interviews, like Mark Dacascos and Boyez Yakin and Brian Thompson. So they give their accounts of behind-the-scenes stories of different films and some of the history of when they worked with him. And so it should be really cool. This is Corey's, I think it's his first book like this. Do you guys know? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We ran into him at so what prompted this is we ran into him at Motor City Nightmares, and I just thought it was so cool that he had written a book and kind of did that. So like, you know, we always talk about, like, you know, we sort of worked on the New York Ninja thing during COVID. Well, Corey kind of knocked this book out during that same period of time. So I definitely subscribe to that idea that, you know, when your friends are doing, you know, if you have friends that are doing cool stuff, you should build them up. You know, like, I mean, they're doing equally as cool stuff, just in different aspects of media. So
Yeah.
definitely thought it was awesome that Corey wrote a book, and I definitely know that he was really excited about this book. So I wanted to make sure we took some time to cover it and get the word out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And for folks who don't know Sheldon Letitia's work, he has a whole bunch of films under his belt with all those action stars that I was mentioning. So movies like Lionheart, Double Impact, and Only the Strong, amongst many others. And a lot of those are considered to be cult classics these days. If you like those kind of films or know those films already, then you'll be interested in this book because it's going to give you a lot of information about that director.
I'll have to grab that copy from you.
Oh, yeah. I'll bring it to rehearsal.
Was that the guy, the subject of the book, he was in Vietnam, I would imagine.
That's what I'm understanding. So some of these interviews are going to take you probably maybe from that time to when he started doing films. And then I would imagine those guys doing the interviews, the actors, are going to be giving you information, right when those films are being made. So it's probably pretty expansive. Super cool. I mean, a lot of detail about this director.
I definitely have a thing for reading books about people in Vietnam. So
yeah, sir.
Be checking that out.
Our buddy Ian's going to be interested in that book too, man. He loves film history and things like that.
He probably has already read it, actually.
Yeah, he probably bought it the day it came out, knowing him.
Yeah.
I think you can get the book from Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, so, we'll actually put a link to the book in our description too. I know it's on Amazon for sure because that's where I kind of got some of my notes.
So go grab a copy.
That's right.
Go get it.
Mailbag.
I got the mailbag here. Mailbag. Last time we talked about our favorite remakes, so we had some friends chime in on that. Our friend Dan pointed out, see, when I was thinking of these remakes, and there's obviously a million that we left out because we only chose one, but I was very glad that some of our friends pointed out these remakes because now we get to mention these other great remakes that we couldn't mention that day because we put our rules on ourselves.
That's right.
So Dan mentioned that Heat is a remake. Most people don't know it's a remake, but it's a remake of Michael Mann. He remade his own thing. He did a movie called L.A. Takedown on TV. Michael Mann did Miami Vice. He's done a bunch of stuff, Collateral, and all kinds of great movies. But he did L.A. Takedown for TV. Maybe it was before Miami Vice. I'm not sure. But Heat was a remake of that because he used most of the story and kind of recycled it and made it into a masterpiece of a crime epic. I've never met anybody who didn't agree that Heat is a badass fucking movie. Not only the performances from De Niro and Pacino, especially when he goes, because she had a great ass. That part, it's that shootout with the bank robbery that blew everybody's minds, and it's been imitated. The whole movie's been copied in all kinds of other movies, including The Dark Knight. I don't know, copied, whatever, tributed, influenced by, whatever. So Heat is an amazing, awesome remake. Joe Cady pointed out that Dredd is sort of a remake. I mean, it's kind of a redo or a reboot, but the other one he mentioned was True Grit. It was a John Wayne movie, and then it was remade by Jeff Bridges, and that's a great, great remake with Haley Steinfeld. And then Blog Jammer pointed out that Evil Dead, he said Evil Dead is a really great remake.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
I think it's
totally forgot about that one.
Pretty decent one. For me, I don't know if I put it up there with the greats, but you can, Greg can, Blog Jammer can. Blog Jammer opened up a whole other can of worms with his question, which makes Mailbag a whole other cool segment in this episode, where he asks us, Voyager 3, what started your journey into horror? Because he was talking about, I think he said that Evil Dead started his back, the first one. I think that's what he said. But he asked what our entry into horror was. For me, it was American Werewolf in London.
Dig it.
I was too young to be seeing that movie. And I was in a theater, right? And this was an old-time theater, not any kind of cool big multiplex. This was one of those old-timey theaters with one auditorium with the goddamn curtains on the walls and stuff, you know, the red curtains and the exits at the ends. But there was also, besides the exits in the corners, there was an exit right over by the row we were in, and it had a okay, so you got the theater, you got the seats. Over to the left, you have a nice little walkway,
kind of like an alcove or something like that.
An alcove, a dark ass hallway, probably lit with red lights, leading to some other exit. No, you don't bring a little kid. You don't bring a little kid to see American Werewolf in London and sit right by that little hallway, because guess what? There are scenes in that movie where the fucking werewolf is coming down a hallway, like the tunnel, the underground, and the subway, and it's going specifically through tunnels and hallways to get people.
Man, that's messed up.
So what I did, I had a strategy when I was a kid. If I got overwhelmed with something and something was too much for me to handle, I would just make myself go to sleep. And I said, I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I can't handle it. Just go.
Man, I do not think I've ever heard this about Aaron.
Me neither, man.
Forced narcolepsy.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like, it's sort of like Dinner for Schmucks, where Steve Carell's character just plays dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did, because I couldn't handle it. But it ended up being one of my fucking favorite movies ever. One of my favorite horror movies for sure. What about you? I agree. Greg?
I think the scariest movie I ever saw as a kid, and it was probably the first one, because I'm just thinking about the year, and it's going to sound redundant, and everybody's going to be bored with my answer. But I think, like, if you consider Jaws a horror movie, that's probably the first one that I ever watched.
Yeah,
and that's probably the one that affected me the most. But I will say that Friday the 13th Part 2 is the one that really sticks out in my head as being the movie that I had a love-hate relationship with it. I loved it because it was so scary to me, because it reminded me, well, at the time I was in Boy Scouting and I was camping all the time. So like that movie just looked like camping. So like it messed with me because of that. And it was like, when I say love-hate, I mean, I loved how scary it was. And I knew that I loved horror for that reason, because no other type of movie made me feel that way. But I also hated watching it because it was like torturing myself, because I knew when I went camping that all I was going to think about is Friday the 13th Part 2 and the fact that there's somebody in the woods, Right. So that's the one for me, probably even more so than Jaws.
Awesome. What about you, Steve?
It would be a handful of what would be now considered the classics at the drive-in. For whatever reason, in the summertime, my folks loved to go to the drive-in, and it was usually that the first movie was pretty family-friendly, but that second movie would be like, Motel Hell or Phantasm or Halloween. I think they thought I was sleeping, but I would sneak kind of over the side of the back seat and watch as much as I could. Either I got too scared or I truly did fall asleep. I don't think I ever saw all of the second film, but I watched enough to realize that this is absolutely incredible, and I'm freaked out, and it's fun, and I'm hooked. So definitely the drive-in experience is what got me going into horror.
So awesome. Steve's answer is a bit more abstract. It's not even a specific movie. It's just a point in time and an experience.
Yeah. Because
it's a cool way to answer, times. Steve.
Hey, thanks, man.
Way to make me and Aaron look bad.
Yeah.
Everyone has his own flavor. It's all good.
Thanks to Blog Jammer for bringing up that topic.
We have some Voyager 3 news for you. Mainly, it has to do with New York Ninja, because New York Ninja is coming back to the big screen, all overseas this time. We got 3 particular dates to let you know about. A couple of them are film fests too. So the first one is in Gothenburg, Sweden. It's on Wednesday, August 24th at the Boy Roy Theater in Gothenburg. And the next one, we're
gonna go and see In Flames and At the Gates, and
we're just gonna hang out, maybe move to Gothenburg.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
All those, we're gonna hang out with all those Swedish bands.
We love all of you Swedish metal bands.
That's
all
right.
of you.
Every single one of them. The next one is in London, and it's called the Fighting Spirit Film Festival, and it happens September 10 through 11. And New York Ninja is going to be playing during that film festival. So you have to check out their website for when they actually announce which day it's going to be playing. Then
we're going to go and we're going to hang out with Iron Maiden, and we're going to hang out with Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all those English bands.
That's right.
Yeah, we love all those English metal bands.
All those English metal bands.
We love them all.
That's right.
Motorhead.
And Sweden.
And Sweden. What's next, Steve?
Is it playing in Norway, Steve?
Is it playing in Norway?
Not that I've heard of yet, but this last one is on Sunday, October 9th. And this is in the UK, in Sheffield in particular.
Let's go.
It's the Abbeydale Picture House. So get your tickets on Voyager3.com, VOYAG3R.com. We have all of the upcoming New York Ninja film listings with links to ticket information and ticket purchase. So get your tickets if you're there or want to travel there. It's going to be a fun adventure. Now,
definitely go see that movie in the theater.
Yes,
that's right. The last piece of news, it also has to do with New York Ninja. And in case you didn't know, this was just announced earlier this week. There's going to be a sequel to New York Ninja in comic book form, and it comes out on November 30th of this year. It is a super special book. Now, Aaron, tell the folks what a super special book means.
It's like almost like a giant-sized comic book. And it's more prestigious. The format is more prestigious, that's for sure.
Dig it, dig it. All right, here's what their website has to say about the comic book. The official follow-up to Vinegar Syndrome's cult hit. All your favorite characters return in a magazine-sized super special by Ignatz Award winner Charles Forsman. New York Ninja, 1984. Crime is at an all-time high. John Liu, a.k.a. the New York Ninja, scours the streets night after night, searching for his wife's killer. Meanwhile, the villainous Rat Tail's new radioactive powers make him deadlier than ever. Sign me up.
You cannot do wrong by having more Rat Tail.
I know.
I think everybody who's seen the film agrees.
That's right.
More screen time for Rat Tail.
And we'll have 3 on the way for us, gentlemen, so don't worry. We will not miss out on the super special. But, I mean, come on.
Aaron's
Isn't that perfect? Isn't that the absolute perfect description? Whoever wrote that, kudos. That's perfect little paragraph.
You're telling me that Rat Tail survived?
I guess so.
Spoiler alert.
That's all I need to know right there. I'm in.
I hit that guy, we hit that guy up on Twitter, and the guy who wrote it, he said he was listening to our music while he was writing the comic. So
yeah, that was sweet.
You'll have to listen to it in your head.
That's right.
That's appropriate. That's appropriate.
Yes, indeed. So for that and other Voyager 3 news, you can always visit our website, voyag3r.com. All right, our final segment of the evening was a cool idea that Aaron had, was to go album by album of ours and give some little behind the scenes of the recording, the writing, whatever aspects. So when we were trying to figure out which album to do first, we just decided let's go in order. So Victory in the Battle Chamber, our debut release, is a 7-inch that has 2 tracks on it.
Yeah, Victory in the Battle Chamber and Hunted Becomes Hunter were our first 2 songs that we wrote together. When we first came up with the idea of the band, we said, well, let's see if it works, if we can write some stuff like this, if we can come up with this kind of music. So we sat down together and started writing, and those were the first 2 things we came up with, which is pretty cool because sometimes the first stuff you come up with it doesn't quite cut the mustard, and you end up moving on to other stuff and recording that, maybe coming back to those earlier ideas later and hammering them out. But I think we were fortunate that our first two ideas ended up being just excellent, just amazing work. No, I think they turned out to be really cool songs, and we still play them. We still play Victory, of course, every show. Hunted, we don't play as much, but we got a lot of songs, so there's only so much we can do. So what stands out to me about those two songs is the guitar that I used. I borrowed a guitar from my friend Dennis Klein. I don't remember what made me borrow it. I know Steve wanted a Strat sound. So I reached out to Dennis and borrowed his guitar and fell in love with it. I ended up telling him, after we recorded, like, hey man, if you ever want to sell this guitar, let me have first crack at it. He's never going to sell it because it was a gift to him, but it's a beautiful guitar. It's a great sounding guitar, super heavy. And of course it doesn't have to be heavy all the time. There's parts in those songs that aren't quite so heavy. So it has a lot of expression and range, but when it needs to get heavy, it's mean sounding. And I remember in Victory, I was definitely kind of trying to channel Brian May when we did those big hits coming into the song. So I layered on a bunch of harmonies and bent them. Did I bend them? Yeah, I think I bent them together. And what else was it? I remember at the end of Hunted Becomes Hunter, when we were writing that, I was shaping the buildup of that song. The whole song, what I was thinking of when I was writing those parts, or when I was coming up with parts of the song, was Bullet. There's a great Steve McQueen movie called Bullet, where there's a car chase where Bullet he's a detective. He's being followed through the streets of San Francisco by some bad guys, and they're following him, and he's kind of watching him out of the rearview mirror. And then he kind of gets the gist of what's going on. And he kind of makes this move down an alley. I think they start chasing him. And he kind of makes a move to get away. And then they're like, where is he? They're looking for him. And then he comes through an alley. Now he's behind them. And they're like freaking out. And it's like an animal fight, the way they do this car chase. So there's just the tension that's built up when he turns the tables on them and comes out. And now he's chasing them, and he wins. Yeah, that was what the idea, the inspiration behind Hunted Becomes Hunter was some kind of prey animal turning the tables on its predator, kind of like in Prey.
Yeah, right. Tie it in, man.
Tie it in.
And that was a great sequence in film history. And the great Lalo Schifrin is the composer who scored that scene, and he masterfully scored that scene. Absolutely. Yeah.
So those are the two main things that stand out about that recording. I love those songs, and I love the way it sounds, and I'm proud of that to start off the whole kind of voyage of Voyager 3.
That's right. Songs. Highlights for me would be using the Temper Mills gear. The studio that we recorded that 7-inch at is the Temper Mill, which is located in Ferndale, Michigan. We utilized all of the analog gear, so it was recorded in the exact same way that they would have recorded something in the late 70s, all through the 80s, and even into the 90s. So they have a Harrison console, a 32-input Harrison console, and a bunch of great preamps. They have a couple of Neve 1073s there, some Millennia, which are really clean preamps, and a tape machine, 2-inch, a Sony MCI 24-track tape machine. So that's how that whole 7-inch was recorded. So super authentic to that time of all those great films that influenced us to write in that way. So it was kind of very true to the time.
Yeah. I mean, to Steve's point, like I know that I used the house drums on that one. I think that's the only recording of ours where I used the drums that were in the studio. So I used I think it's a Blue Sparkle.
Yeah, Ludwig. Is it a Ludwig or is it a
Slingerland or something? Yeah, it's like an older, almost like a 60s style. But
yeah.
So we used the house drum kit. Obviously, we went in did it really fast, and going back to the whole mission statement of this band was just Steve saying, "Hey, I want to do this weird synth music. Do you want to do it?" And we were kind of like, "All right." So, it seemed like we were in the studio almost, it felt like just a couple of days after Steve mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we did on those first two songs was really, not overthinking it at all, just going in and doing it purely on, adrenaline and, the idea of doing something different. Right. And then, one other tidbit I think I can throw in there is, I think it's Hunter Becomes Hunter. I do this really fast drum fill that's kind of like Aaron was talking about borrowing. So there's this drum fill on, I think it's on Paul's Boutique. That's like it's a Beastie Boys drum fill, but I'm sure they sampled it. But it just sounds really chaotic and really fast. And I tried to channel that on like that song in particular. Yeah. So that fill was inspired by a Beastie Boys song. At least.
Shake your rump.
It's not the same. It's not the same drum fill, but it's definitely the same vibe. So that's one tidbit I can think of that I just felt like that song needed when it gets to that point and the drums come back in, I felt like it needed something like really chaotic and sort of fast.
Yeah.
So that fill just popped into my head and I just did a different version of it.
I want to mention that fill too, because that's funny that you mentioned it, because I was trying to remember it before you said it. That fill it's one of my favorite things you've ever done. And when we were recording it, Sam, Steve's brother, was filming it. And that particular take was the first time you ever even did it. I think it was, you came up with it right then. I don't think you'd ever even done that exact fill. And so we're recording and I'm doing my guitar part. And then you come in with it. And then I'm like, oh my God, as we're recording, I'm like, oh my God, what did he just do? And then I'm like, so I'm hoping that you don't mess up any part coming up so we can keep that take. So I'm like crossing my fingers, but I didn't want to get too excited because my reaction would throw you off because I know you. Right. And if you saw my face go, whoa, you'd fuck up all of a sudden. So I'm like holding it in. And then we get to the next fill, which comes up just a few seconds later, and you knock that one out too. You pulled that one off. And then I start nodding because I knew that the rest of it was easy and you weren't going to have anything that you could mess up.
That I could possibly mess up.
Yeah. And so you can even see it in that. It's only like a 30-second video, but you can see you do that crazy fill. You can see my shoulders get all stiff. And then you do the other, and I start nodding because I'm like, okay, we're home free. That was one of my favorite things you've ever done.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And speaking of the drums too, unlike other records that we've done, that one we did the drums like really dead. So it was that house 60s kit, and then we kind of dampened the heads with like either moon gels or tissue, whatever it was.
Tape.
Yeah, gaff tape. Yeah. But then we also surrounded you with baffles so that you would minimize the room ambience too. So the drums on Victory in the Battle Chamber 7-inch are very dead, and that's by design because it just kind of goes down that path of the stuff of that era. That a lot of drums kind of went in that direction and sounded that way. So yeah, we kind of pay attention to a lot of different details and try to get certain aesthetics, and I think it really worked.
Yeah. What were you going to say about Victory, Greg?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to mention that, so the other important thing I remember about this EP was that it sort of began the relationship with Bellyache Records. Like I knew my friend Scotty was like putting records out and, so I just took a chance because I think I mentioned it to Steve. I'm like, hey, we should reach out to Scotty and see if he's interested in this. Not knowing that he was he was also a movie score nerd, kind of like we are. So like, here I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm going to send this to Scotty and he's going to say I'm crazy because there's no lyrics or whatever, and, I sent it to him, and I just remember his reaction, just being totally excited, like right off the bat, like, oh yeah, I'm definitely putting it out. This is exactly what I'm into. Like, so that was sort of like, it was kind of like the first validating thing for this like new project that none of us really at that point were sure was even something that most people would understand or get what we were trying to do, so.
Yeah, for sure.
And one more thing that we did at the end of Hunted Becomes Hunter, we did this long sustain. So we go, bang, bang. We did it 3 times. That was like where we established our occasional rule of 3. A lot of times in music, you do something either twice or 4 times or 8 times, whatever. That's a normal count. We decided, because the name of the band was Voyager 3, that we would occasionally throw these parts. If we were ever not sure if we should do something, how many times we should do something, we would just decide like 3 would be the best way to do it, just to kind of be a little different.
Nice.
So at the end of that song, we hit the big chords, the big ending chords 3 times, and that established that, along with the artwork that Slasher Dave did on the cover, where he used this 3 motif all over the cover, and he carried that on with the artwork for all of the stuff he's done for us. But yeah, this cool car that's busting through this explosion. It's got 3 blades on each side. It's got 3 spikes in the front grill, all kinds of cool things. Even the dude who's driving the car has a V3 tattoo, which I think I should probably still get at some point, like a recreation of that tattoo.
There you go.
But yeah, so that was where we first came up with that 3 thing that kind of comes and goes throughout all of our music.
Yeah, dig it.
Yeah, so there's your Easter egg. You can look at all of our stuff and try to find evidence of the 3.
They're not. It's not going to be important to them. Just us.
Right. That's just for our own enjoyment.
I mean,
there are 3 acts in a movie generally, though. Not that should surprise anyone.
That's very true. All right. Well, I think that will do it for this episode of V3Cast. We talked about the excellent Predator prequel called Prey. We mentioned our good buddy Corey Dana has a brand new book out. We talked about some upcoming New York Ninja screenings in Europe. And lastly, we talked about some Voyager 3 behind the scenes. We started with Victory in the Battle Chamber. So until next time, listen to Voyager 3, and we'll see you soon.